Hey, Rick. Okay, so I believe we're recording now. I can turn on my video here so you can see me. Hi. My name is Catherine Tim. Oh, hello, welcome. Hi there. I just wanted to give you a heads up that we are recording this session. It'll be uploaded to our YouTube channel afterwards. So it's a great resource for everyone who's attending to kind of refer back to, but also for folks who couldn't make it. So just a heads up there. So yes, so my name is Catherine Tim. I am the scholarships advisor in the Learning Abroad office. I'm also the campus representative for both the Gilman Scholarship, which is a national award to study or intern abroad, as well as the Boren Scholarship, which is another scholarship funded by the Department of State for students looking to learn high needs languages. So, which means pretty much most languages outside of Spanish speaking kind of America and Western Europe. So let's kind of dive in. So today we're going to be talking about Office for Global Engagement Scholarships, and I kind of skipped a slide here. I'm going to go ahead and close my window. They're cutting down a tree in my neighborhood. It's a little distracting. Just a second. It's hard to resist that wonderful weather that we've been having, but this will be a little bit better, I think, for sound control. All right, so this is kind of the agenda for today. We're going to kind of go over some really basic information about our awards, like the deadlines, award amounts, and some of the statistics, like likelihood of being awarded. And then we're going to go into the components of the different essay or scholarship applications, primarily focusing on the essays. So there's several different scholarships that we offer directly through our office. Those are called Office for Global Engagement Scholarships, and that's going to be the primary focus of this presentation. We will touch really briefly on some other awards. I do want to let you all know that there are tons of other scholarship opportunities outside of our office. We want to kind of introduce you to a few of those, but the primary focus today is on Office for Global Engagement, or OGE, scholarships. Okay, so we want you to kind of walk away from this presentation with some skills or increased knowledge, right? And a lot of that is focused on submitting a really strong scholarship application, and in particular, more specifically, really strong scholarship essays. So some of the things that we're going to practice today are articulating your goals, providing evidence to back up your claims, and also refining that self-awareness, because knowing more about who you are and what is kind of guiding your interest in going abroad is going to be a huge asset when it comes to convincing those scholarship committee members who are selecting recipients that you are the best possible recipient for that scholarship, the strongest applicant. Okay. So just a few kind of important notes about our awards. So you can only apply once per term for each scholarship. That kind of makes sense, right? You can't increase your chances of being awarded by applying twice, for example, for the photography scholarship. The system will only let you open up one application anyway. As you may have guessed from our goals, writing is really important. I will note that several of our scholarships are fairly competitive, and making sure that you're meeting all of the eligibility criteria is important to know that you're spending your time wisely. GPA is part of that. We typically, once we select recipients, we will notify them within 6 weeks of the scholarship application deadline. We try and get it out earlier, but that's kind of the timeline you're looking at. It's important to know that because for some of our program deadlines, certainly for some of Hinckley's program deadlines, that means you would have to apply and commit to your experience before you might hear back on your scholarship. So it's important to have, a holistic plan of how you're going to fund your experience beyond scholarships. Number one, because they're not guaranteed, and number two, you may not have that knowledge of your funding situation from us, at least, until well after you've applied and committed to the experience. And I did kind of forget to mention earlier that these awards will count towards both learning abroad and Hinckley experiences. If you apply, make sure you check your UMail regularly. That is how we will notify you if you're a recipient. And in the application process, these are kind of nitty gritty, but we ask that you actually copy and paste the text into our kind of essay text fields. Do not upload your essays as attachments. And I recommend writing and editing your essays in Word or some other word processing software. Don't try and write in the actual kind of text editor on our site. It does not have the same capabilities for spell check and grammar, and also it's really easy to lose your work because it won't let you save intermittently. So I highly recommend using Word or some other word processing software instead. This kind of touches on the kind of eligibility criteria I talked about earlier. Make sure that you're meeting eligibility criteria, because if you aren't, you might not be considered. Similar vein, make sure you're following all of the instructions carefully. We disqualify folks all the time because they don't follow the instructions, whether it's word count, number of photos they're supposed to submit for a portfolio submission, or other factors. Make sure you're following those instructions. And then another quick tip is I recommend actually opening a program application before you open a scholarship application. You can always change your program application. And the advantage to opening a program application first before you open your scholarship application is that you won't have any issues with application limitations. So it's kind of technical, but the way our application portal is set up, you'll have to get technical assistance from our office if you want to open more than, I think, 4 scholarship applications or program applications if you start with a scholarship application. So kind of confusing, but just open a program app and then open your scholarship apps and you won't have any issues. Questions on any of that? Okay.
How do you open up a program application, or what does that mean exactly?
Yeah, so you would open up a program application on our website. So you would go on our website, go on the program search, and find either a Hinckley or study or learning abroad, program that you're interested in, and you would click apply now. So that could be like our, for example, intensive Spanish language in Oviedo, Spain, right? As an example. So you find that international experience first and then apply for the scholarship, such as the diversity scholarship or the financial needs scholarship second. Now, it's not always possible, and we can certainly help you if you aren't able to open a program application first, but if you have something in mind and you're able to do that, I recommend it. It's a great question.
I have a quick question too. You were talking about, I think you have to apply for the program first and then apply for the scholarship. So if you don't get the scholarship, are you not, like, you can't back out of the program, I guess?
Yeah, that's really important. I'm glad you asked to clarify that, because you just have to start an application. You don't actually have to submit your program application in order to be kind of considered for the scholarship. So obviously,
Oh,
sometimes you will because of the way the deadlines work, but theoretically, you don't have to finish your program application before you submit your scholarship application. And I guess the other piece to that is in many instances, there could be penalties if you decide to back out of your program because you haven't gotten a scholarship, for example.
mm-hmm.
And that again is influenced by the deadline timelines. And so I would recommend checking out our handbook and looking up the withdrawal kind of section. And it kind of goes over what the deadlines are and what the timelines are to actually commit to your program if you're accepted, and what the financial penalties would be
Okay.
in those different instances. But yeah, it really depends on the term. So yeah, I can't say like specifics, but yeah, it's important to look at those withdrawal timelines if funding your experience and your budget is an important part of making this happen.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so these are the 4 primary deadlines that we have for scholarships in our office, and more or less they follow the deadlines that we have for our faculty-led programs. So most of our students go on faculty-led programs. So if you're planning on that program type, you would typically apply for scholarships and for your program at the same time. So we have a February 15th deadline, and that is for summer programs. And depending on the deadline, you'll notice you'll be eligible for different scholarships or able to apply for different scholarships. So you'll see for if you want to go abroad over the summer, you would apply by the summer February 15th deadline. And the awards you'd be able to apply for are listed there. And then for if you want to go abroad in the fall, you'd apply by June 1st. You can see the awards you'd be eligible for there. And then if you want to go abroad in the spring, you'd apply by November 1st. So that's the next really big scholarship deadline, right? You'll also notice there's an October 1st deadline in there. That one's a little bit more unique. That's specifically for our financial needs scholarship. And a financial needs scholarship will apply towards any program that takes place, in this case, in the next calendar year, 2021. So if you wanted to go abroad in the spring, next semester, in the summer of 2021, or in the fall of 2021, your deadline there for the financial need scholarship specifically is October 1st. So a little less than 1 month away. So that's a really unique one. That deadline only comes once a year. Questions about the deadlines or scholarships that are available for different terms? Okay. All right, and we'll be going over the specific award amounts later in the presentation. All right, so we award over $250,000 annually, and that's spread across the 6 scholarships that we award. In general, if we take the average of all of our scholarships, 1 in 4 students is awarded an OGE scholarship. Well, one in 4 students who apply, of course. All right, and you can kind of see the breakdown of your chances of being awarded by scholarship on this slide. So you can see traditionally the student fee has had the highest award rate, followed by diversity, financial need, video, financial need, photography, and merit. Okay, so merit is by far the most competitive, with only 2% of applicants being awarded. And I think the student fee in particular is probably a little skewed because we had very few applicants last semester. Just because of, well, I should say for the fall. And I think that's impacted by the pandemic, of course. And just to kind of break it down further, or I guess I should say actually expand it. So we award over $250,000 a year. That's the OGE scholarship piece. And it varies each year. Last year it was $272,000 that we awarded. And then you can see students are getting funding from other sources as well. So students are getting external funding, quite a bit of it. What does that mean? External funds include scholarships funded by the federal government. So that would be like the Gilman Scholarship, for example. If any of you have been in the World Languages and Cultures building, you've probably seen advertisements about the FLAS Scholarship. That's a scholarship very similar to the Boren for students who want to learn foreign languages that are deemed high need by the federal government. A lot of our students receive the FLAS. There are also all kinds of other scholarships offered through our affiliate providers, CIEE, ISA, CEA, Kappa. If you've done Learning Abroad 101, you should be familiar with those affiliate providers, and they often supply quite a bit of scholarship funding. Some of the external funds come from our exchange partners as well. We have some really great exchange partners, some of whom provide scholarships just for University of Utah students. And then the remainder are provided by departments, and oftentimes those are specific to faculty-led programs. For example, our global health programs that go to Ghana, Peru, and India have specific funding set aside for their students. So definitely check out our website. We have a scholarships page and a database dedicated to all of the different awards that are available in these categories. And this just breaks down actual scholarships. So you can see a dot here for every scholarship awarded to students in the 2018-2019 academic year. We awarded over 400 scholarships to students, the majority of which, or I guess students received over 400 scholarships, the majority of which were OGE scholarships, as you can see. And the average award amount was $1,000 or just over $1,000 for OGE scholarships, over $2,000 for external awards, and over or right around $1,000 for departmental awards. Okay, so looking at trends, if we're thinking about competitiveness, it is, I think, more challenging to get awarded for the summer term. We do set aside more scholarship money for the summer, but we often get quite a few applicants for the summer. It is our most popular term. So you've got more competition if you're applying in the summer than you do in the spring. And there's even less competition for the fall. We tend to see the fewest number of applicants for that term. Okay, so it goes through some of the statistics, information about our awards. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the personal statement. This essay is part of any program application on our website if you're doing a Learning Abroad program. Hinckley students will have to write this because it's not part of the Hinckley application. So if you're a Hinckley student and you want to apply for a scholarship, you'd have to do this separately, but it's the same prompt. Once you write this for your program application, you can apply this to all but one of our scholarship applications. You will actually recycle it if you're applying for scholarships. So it's a pretty simple prompt. It just asks you to describe how your program or internship aligns with your academic, professional, and personal goals. And you'll notice there's a word count kind of range there. Make sure you're within that range. So we thought we'd practice with you guys. So in the next couple of minutes, take a moment to write down or type up, if you're on your computer, an academic, a personal, and a professional goal for going abroad. So I'll give you, Amanda and Jared, I'll give you a minute to think of a goal for each area. Okay, so Jared had to step out. Amanda, were you able to write a few goals down?
Yeah.
You want to share?
Sure. I was trying to look for like a word counter because I was like, what, 400 words? But my academic goal was to do research, like environmental sustainability research for like a community, whatever community that might be. My professional goal is to like work as like a manager for like a sustainability department or something like that. Otherwise oversee some kind of program for environmental services. And then I blanked at personal. All I could think of was just the opportunity to travel, but that's kind of what I got in those couple minutes.
Oh, that's great. I think those are great examples of goals that you can have. And I'm curious, are those inspired by have you selected a program, or are those kind of things you're looking for in a program?
That's what I'm looking for. I haven't explored the programs. I don't really know what's out there or available.
Yeah, no, that's great. I think just off the top of my head, it sounds like an internship might be a good fit if you're looking to kind of, sounds like get more involved in an organization.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, those are excellent, and they're pretty specific goals too. Obviously, the personal goal is a little bit more general, and you might want to hone that one in. We can talk about that in a minute.
Okay.
But yeah, those are excellent.
Oh, thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's just go through here. So there's a few tips that we have for kind of essay writing in general, but kind of starting with the personal statement. This is kind of just general writing tips, but starting that essay in a creative way can really help break up and I guess make your essay stand out. A lot of our essay readers are reading sometimes 30 or 40 different scholarship essays at a time, and so we see a lot that start in this kind of general fashion that I have in that kind of blue text box. So starting with something creative, whether it's a story or an anecdote or an important or an interesting fact, can really give your essay an edge and help it stand out. The next part is supplying evidence. So yes, we see a lot of general statements from students. And so doing research on your program and taking time to really think about your goals and make them specific, like you already have, Amanda, for your academic and professional goals, will definitely make your essay more compelling, right? You can see the kind of progression as you read these different examples from good to best. And the first one, that's a totally great goal, right? Everyone wants to, set themselves up for success. That's a good thing. But it's hard to envision what that student's going to do, how they're going to grow, how they're going to set themselves up for success. By the time we get to the best, right, example, we know what success looks like, right? And it's getting into, a professional school, becoming a doctor, right? And we know how they're going to move towards success, right? They're going to learn about infectious disease and treating altitude sickness and, transporting an injured patient, right? They're going to do that on their learning about program. So getting into the specifics of your program description, the courses you're going to be taking, or the internship experience that you're going to engage in will really help paint the picture for the readers so they understand what you're going to be doing and how you're meeting those goals. Okay. All right. I missed one. Yes, and so this kind of builds on that previous slide. But yeah, getting specific is really important. If you can substitute in another person, another country, another program into your essay, right, it's not specific enough. So making sure it's specific to you and you're avoiding those general statements like, I can't wait to experience another culture. Of course, everyone who studies abroad wants to do that, right? Yeah. Think about what culture are you interested in learning about, right? Research the country that you're going to, if that's what you want to talk about. Research some interesting things about that culture, it's that country's history, current events, what's drawing you to that place. And showing that like interest in that country or culture over time can also be helpful, especially if you're going to say, I'm passionate about X. Right? For many students, they say, oh, I'm passionate about, learning Spanish. Well, why are you passionate about learning Spanish? Show us, prove it, right? Show us what you've done that demonstrates that you're passionate about it. Or if it's environmental sustainability, show us that you're passionate about it by talking about the classes you've taken, right? For example, or other ways you've engaged. So yeah, avoid those general statements like I'm passionate, I can't wait to immerse myself. Yeah, get out of my comfort zone. We see that a lot. Instead of saying, I can't wait to get out of my comfort zone, describe what getting out of your comfort zone might look like. That's a lot more compelling. And it shows us that you're, number one, serious about the experience. Number two, that you have done your research and you're picking this program and experience for a specific reason. Yeah. Okay. So, all right. So here's the test. So you've got your goal. Now I'd like to challenge you to write at least one piece of evidence to back that up, right? Or one example of how you plan to do that. Of course, for you, Amanda, you don't know exactly what your program is yet. But you could kind of think about maybe how you could do that.
Okay.
You can totally make something up, you know.
Okay, that's kind of what I'm doing.
It's just a practice exercise. It's not like you're married to what you say you're going to do, you know, at this point.
Mm. Um,
Okay, Amanda.
yeah.
You got a lot. I can hear you typing away. You've got thoughts rolling through.
Mhm.
I'm curious. Did you give the explore other cultures one a try?
Yeah, kind
I was
of.
hoping you would.
Well, I guess technically not really, because I wrote about exploring my own culture
Oh, okay.
because I didn't grow up being embedded in it so much.
Oh, okay.
Because like my parents were so focused on me, like, um, what's the word? Like getting used to American customs and culture and language that they didn't put me through Chinese school, and I didn't learn about Chinese history or like traditions and stuff. Through
Mm.
my parents, and so I wrote about how, and then I know about how polluted China is. Like you always hear, like their air is terrible and stuff, and so I kind of tied that together to say I want to learn more about my culture and like work with an organization to address their pollution and stuff. So it's kind of like two goals in one. I don't know. It's not
That's
very well.
great. I think that's great. That's you've added another kind of personal goal there, a more specific personal goal. Yeah. And so you're interested now. You've refined now from like a broad kind of I could be in any country to now you've refined it to China, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is getting way more specific. And then I think kind of refining it to your own story, right? So now we know more about you as an applicant, your background, and some of your motivations. So that's great.
Cool.
So yeah, that's all excellent. And then I think the step to take it, you know, to the next level is how are you going to do that, right?
Yeah.
And so knowing your program certainly helps. So yeah, that's kind of probably your next step is doing some program research.
Mhm.
But that's a really, really great start for sure.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, of course. All right. So, okay, so now that you have some understanding of how you could start building that foundational essay that you'll use in just about every scholarship application, we're going to move into some of the specifics of the different awards. And it's funny that we're starting with financial need because this is the one scholarship that doesn't ask for the personal statement. So we'll just roll through this one. This is, again, that October 1st deadline, so it's less than a month away. This is our largest award. It's $3,500. And so it's got 2 essay prompts. It's pretty short and sweet application. It is designed for students who have financial need, as you would guess from the title of the award and from this first essay prompt, right? This one is asking in 150 words, so it's a really short and sweet essay. Describe your plan to finance your program. And so it asks you to think about your personal finances, support from family, scholarships that you're receiving, and your financial aid. So that looking at the holistic kind of how are you going to finance it question. And here are a couple examples from recipients. And so there are 2 ways to answer this prompt or address it. One is kind of traditional essay format, which we have from this applicant. The student kind of talked about their financial aid, how they're working, how much they envision they'll be able to contribute towards the cost of their program. What I love about this is they get really specific. They're talking about how many hours a week they're working, how much they're able to save, the specific cost of their program. It really helps paint the picture of what their financial situation is and how they're specifically saving for the experience. A lot of students will kind of use general terms like, I plan to save up for my job for this program, which is great. It's good to see that. But it's hard to envision how much they're saving and also how serious they are about making this possible. Obviously, people who are applying for this are facing often some serious financial barriers. So knowing that they're really committed to this and are pursuing every avenue to make it happen, that they have that kind of stamina to make this happen is important to us. And it shows, this student is really trying every avenue to make this happen. And it's clear that this scholarship could actually make a huge difference. Okay, the next style is more of an itemized approach, list approach. So this student has paired some very short essay responses with an itemized budget. And this is another really great way to show us. So you could honestly have a couple of sentences and then a budget broken down to show what the program's going to cost and how you're going to address each line item. So that's another way to kind of address the first prompt. Okay, that should say actually prompt 1, example B. It's not prompt 2. Okay, so now we're going to go into prompt 2, the second prompt. It's a little bit longer, and this is your opportunity to explain your financial situation. When you get into the application, you'll notice that we do ask for all of our applicants to complete the FAFSA. The reason we ask for that is that we will actually request your FAFSA information from the financial aid office. And they will provide us with essentially a score for each student. They'll say if they're high, medium, or low need, which is really helpful for us, but it's not very specific. And so this is your opportunity to give life to that high, medium, or low designation that the financial aid office will assign to you. And it's especially important for students whose financial need might not be reflected by that designation. So if you, for example, are financially independent of your parents, and that's not reflected in your FAFSA score, it's really important to indicate that in your essay, right? And so we don't have some examples because sometimes these essays can get fairly personal. But we do have a list of things that we recommend you consider as you're writing this essay. Think about the financial barriers that make it difficult for you to learn abroad. Think about your personal financial situation separate from your parents. Think about if your financial situation may have changed recently, especially given the fact that we're in a global pandemic. Think about how your learning abroad program would impact your financial situation. For many students, learning abroad means stepping away from their job and their primary income source for a period of time. So think about how that would impact you and your ability to stay on track with maybe rent or other financial responsibilities like a car payment or other things that you're responsible for. Will your existing financial aid apply towards your program? In most cases it will, but do your homework and go and talk to financial aid before you write this essay, because that could pretty significantly impact how the committee assesses your need. Think about your personal financial, I already talked about that. Think about if you're working to put yourself through school, how many hours a week you're working, and that kind of goes into your personal financial situation. Think about if you're required to participate in unpaid experiences right now. So are you currently pursuing or completing a required unpaid internship, for example? Are you required to do service hours for your major or for the graduate school you're interested in? Are you engaged in other unpaid experiences that are required? And then, yeah, do you pay rent? We have to forego income. We talked about that already. So those are things to consider as you're writing that need essay. And this goes into the number of recipients. So last year we had 165 applicants and 20 recipients. So it's a decently competitive scholarship. We have been able to double the amount of money we can award this year. So we're expecting to have 40 recipients. So that's really exciting, but still fairly competitive scholarship. Okay. Oh, okay, I skipped a slide there. So next we're going to talk about the diversity scholarship. And I'm going to have to roll through these next because we've only got 10 minutes. So we've got the diversity scholarship. It's $1,000. This is the essay prompt. The goal of this essay prompt is to get you to talk about why you're eligible for this scholarship and how you'll be successful on your program abroad. So it's really important to center this essay on your identity and your lived experience. And one of the things we recommend is writing down a list of your identities based on some of the criteria that we're looking for and thinking about how those connect to your experience as a college student overall and your interest in going abroad. So for you, Amanda, you've already made a connection to your identity and your program destination, and your interests, right? You've connected that to your major and also kind of your family origins and ethnicity, right? So kind of reflecting on that would be a really great way to prep for this essay. Okay, so yes, so this is one way to prep for the essay. We won't be able to do this activity, unfortunately, but I recommend you playing around with this in your spare time. So writing down one challenge you've overcome in the past 2 years and what you learned about yourself and what skills you gained in the process. So kind of pairing that identity piece with this is how you kind of prep for that scholarship essay. So these are just two examples. Yeah, you can see a real big difference between the essay on the left and the essay on the right. The essay on the left being much more specific, actually talking about the student actually outlines why they're eligible for the scholarship, what they're going to do, and what skills they've gained to be successful abroad. So that's what we're looking for. For the other student, we see a lot of essays like example B that are very vague and don't really answer the prompt. Okay, and so those are the kind of chances of being awarded. And then you can see kind of the number of applicants changing by term. Okay, the Merit Scholarship, this is our most competitive award. It's only available for summer. It's $1,000. Students for this submit the personal statement, which we've already covered, as well as a resume. Our recommendations are to really tailor your resume to your experience abroad. So pretend like you're using this as part of your study abroad or Hinckley Global Internship application. So we should know, we should see information about your program in your resume. And we should see, ideally this resume should be organized into different categories or sections based on the criteria that we're looking for in the prompt. The prompt asks you to talk about your relevant experience, skills, and I believe any merits such as awards or other distinctions that you've received. So making sure that you match what we're looking for with the different categories in your resume will definitely make it stand out. I have linked to the Career Center's YouTube channel here. They have some really excellent videos on how to set up a resume. We don't have time to watch them, but I definitely recommend checking out their YouTube channel as you prepare that. And again, you can see very few students receive this award. So if you're going to apply for it, make sure you put in the time, both for your personal statement and the resume that you produce. And involving the Career Center in that kind of resume development is recommended. Okay, so here's the photography scholarship, and unfortunately we've run out of time, so we can't do the exercises here. It's also $1,000. For this scholarship, you would upload 10 images as part of a portfolio, and you can do that by submitting a PowerPoint with an image per slide, a PDF with an image per page, approximately, and then you can also provide a link to a website such as like a Google Drive folder where your images are housed. So make sure if you do that we have permission to see your content. You're setting your permission settings so we can see what you've done. You also have a very short portfolio statement. We're not really going to cover, but you basically want to describe what we're looking at and why it's interesting, as well as the personal statement that we've already covered. Okay. And I can show you, while we can't do the activity, I can show you some of the images that students have submitted in the past. So this is from Maria Schwarz, who's a recent recipient. And she did a great job of, she kept all of her images within one theme. One of the things that we're looking for these submissions is a narrative quality, the ability to tell a story. And a lot of that is connected to the scholarship, because if you receive it, you're going to be asked to document your experience abroad with images. And so almost like a photojournalism assignment. And so showing that you have that type of skill set can be an advantage. And she certainly told a story here about this garden that she's visited, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here's another student, Kelly Loutzenheiser. Here you see another kind of narrative about a trip at sea, it looks like. One of the things we really appreciate is the ability to take candid shots and a skill set in portraiture. She certainly conveyed that with her work as well, and in addition to that narrative quality. So if you do have a skill set in that area, that's appreciated. And here, just general creativity. We have Max Trevino, who had these really great compositions, uses of color and light and texture. And here's Camille. I can never pronounce her last name right. Rick can help me with that. He's Italian major. I think it's Bagnani.
Cool.
But how do you pronounce it, Rick?
No, you pronounced it exactly how it's pronounced.
Okay, thanks. But yes, you can see Camille's got some really interesting use of light and texture, and also color in her work as well. So it's really quite broad. But yeah, thinking about that composition, some of those technical qualities is great. And subject matter is open, but if you're able to show that you can tell a story with your work, if there's a level of cohesiveness to your work, it can be advantageous for sure. Okay, and then this is one of our more competitive scholarships as well. Not as competitive as the merit, but still competitive. So especially for summer, keep that in mind. And then video scholarship is the last one that has a real intense application process. Very similar to photography scholarship, except this time you're submitting a YouTube video instead of a photo portfolio. And you can do a video up to 5 minutes. And similar criteria, we're really looking for someone who can tell a story. It's completely open-ended in terms of subject matter. And so we have lots of step-by-step instructions in the application itself. So you can take a look at that. We do ask that the content aligns with the student code of conduct. So make sure you're not uploading video footage of, drinking or things like that. But yeah, other than that, it's really open. And the video statement is really similar to the photo statement, right? Help us understand your work, and help us understand your skill set and interests. And I have a couple examples. I can definitely share this presentation with you guys if you want to check those out from a couple of our students. But I do want to emphasize that you don't have to be, this whiz or like this YouTuber to be awarded. There are students I have two examples here. One is like very high production value, like obviously a film student produced it. And the other one is a medical student who just sat in front of her iPhone and talked about why she's interested in studying medicine and why she likes living in Salt Lake City. So it's super broad, and don't be intimidated by it, especially because it is one of our more accessible, least competitive scholarships. We actually didn't get any applicants for the fall. So yeah, don't be intimidated by the scholarships. Your chances of being awarded are actually pretty high. Okay, and the final award that we have is our student fee. This is the easiest scholarship you can apply for. All you have to do is open up an application and read a few things and submit like a general questionnaire about like how you or what program you're interested in. It takes 5 minutes. So for 5 minutes, you could, put yourself in the running for $1,000 for a program that's shorter than a semester, $1,500 for a semester experience, or $2,000 for a year. So definitely worth your time. If you apply for one scholarship, submit that student fee scholarship application. The easiest money.
Wow.
Never put your, be eligible for it. So yeah. So yeah, and the chances for the fall we had 10 awardees out of 21 applicants, so really good chances. And then, yeah, this is just a list. We're right at time. I've got to actually jump to the next.
Right, you have another one.
Yeah. So, but just know that we have a really detailed database on our website. It's learningabroad.utah.edu/scholarships. It's a whole database that has information and links to learn more about those departmental, external, and OGE awards that we have available.
Okay, cool. Thank
Yeah.
you so
Yeah,
much.
thanks so much for attending, Amanda. And once you get rolling with your essay submissions, I'm happy to take a look at any drafts that you have and provide feedback.
Thank you.
Can definitely continue to engage with me and the Writing Center for feedback. So I've indicated the Writing Center. I always recommend that our students go and see them. They're also trained to help students apply for the Gilman, which is great. And yep, there's my contact information.
Thank you. I'm actually registered for the next one, so.
Oh, perfect. I'll see you in a minute.
I probably can't stay the whole time, but yeah, I wanted to hop on.
Oh, great.
Okay.
Cool.
Thank you so
All
much.
right. Well, thanks for attending. We'll see you in a minute.
Okay. Bye.
Bye, everyone.